On the air as we are getting results from primary elections across several states, where tonight we are watching how the president's redistricting push across the country is having an impact. Out in Indiana so far, we've seen multiple Republican state senators projected to lose their seats after being targeted by President Trump and his allies for working to block pro-Republican redistricting efforts. In Indiana's 19th district, Travis Holdman projected to lose his race with more than half of the vote in there. And in the 21st, James Buck projected to lose that race to his Trump-backed challenger. And out in Ohio, where Vice President Vance cast his vote earlier today, we are watching a couple of Republican primaries to take on vulnerable Democrats in the general after their districts shifted sharply to the right following redistricting. In that first district and second district, we're still watching to see what happens there. But we're watching them take on longtime Democratic Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur. And we're hoping to have our NBC News chief data analyst, Steve Kornacki, with us if we got you there. Steve, I know you're at the big board. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, Gotti, I mean, you said it. I think the message is very clear from Indiana Republican voters tonight. They are on the president's side when it comes to this question of redistricting. Looking here at a race that is undecided here, this is one of those Republican state senators who voted against Trump on that redistricting plan. He actually does have a chance of surviving. You can see how close this one is with just a few votes left to be counted here. But what you also see, and you mentioned it earlier, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. These are 5 districts where 5 Republican Senate incumbents in Indiana were all defeated tonight. And they weren't just defeated, they were defeated in landslides, all of them voting against the president in his wishes to have that congressional map redrawn in advance of 2026. You're talking about margins of between 20 and 30 points right there. There is one who survived down here in this district earlier. And like I said, and there's also, I should add, on our map here, you don't quite see it for some technical reasons. There is actually a bit unexpectedly in this district right here, another Republican incumbent who voted against that plan. Trump stayed out of the race for some reason, but it seems like the voters there understood it as a referendum on that redistricting because the incumbent Republican senator in this district is trailing right now, and there aren't many votes left to be counted there. So it still may be that at the end of the night, up to 7 Republican state senators in Indiana are taken out in this primary after voting against the president and his wish for redistricting.
And turning now to Ohio, and a little bit of a difference that we saw because of those redistricting efforts. What's it looking like there, particularly in the 1st and the 9th district?
Yeah, take a look here on the, we'll go into the first district here. This is Northwest Ohio. This is a Republican primary here, a bit of a crowded field. Derek Merry, you can see here, NBC News, has projected to win this primary. And you're going to be hearing an awful lot about this one in November. They actually did redistricting here, too. It was a more complicated process. But the key is this is a Democratic-held seat right now. You can see Marcy Kaptur. She was unopposed tonight. She's been in the House since 1982. This district voted for Trump in 2024. But under the new lines that were drawn for this year, this district is now one that Trump won by 11 points. There is no Democrat in the House of Representatives right now who was elected in a district more pro-Trump than the one that Kaptur, because of redistricting, is now going to have to try to survive in this November in Ohio. And again, the significance tonight is she learned who her opponent will be. Derek Merry nominated. They're trying to pick off Kaptur, someone Republicans have had in their sights for years and has managed to get away from them. We'll see if she could pull one off again this year in probably her most difficult setting.
And there's this state Senate election happening in Michigan. Michigan is going to be such an important battleground state coming up. What can we read from there?
I think it's a bad result in Michigan right now, unfortunately.
I apologize, Gotti. I want folks to kind of just forget that I put this up because we actually are having a technical issue with our results, and these are some inaccurate numbers. So let me just escape from that as fast as I can with my apologies.
No worries. The math is always fluctuating until it finally settles. And we look to you for all things math. Steve, really appreciate that. And Vivek Ramaswamy, that's another one we wanted to check in with. What's it looking like tonight?
Yeah, so again, this is in the race for governor of Ohio, and it's an interesting story, right? Ramaswamy running there in the Republican primary back in 2024 against Trump. Obviously was not successful. He's kind of recast himself. He's back on good terms with the president, enough that the president endorsed him in this race. Ramaswamy, largely due to that endorsement, I think had no trouble winning this primary tonight. And certainly just given the political contours of Ohio here, he'll probably be a slight favorite there, maybe more than a slight favorite, I should say, to win the governorship this fall in Ohio. Again, this is a state that Trump carried by double digits, by 12 points in 2024. And it's an interesting situation, too, here, I think, simply because the sitting governor, the outgoing Republican governor, Mike DeWine, has had sort of a difficult relationship with Trump. He had hoped that his lieutenant governor, Jim Tressel, the former football coach at Ohio State, might be able to turn around and run here in this race for governor. But Trump getting behind Ramaswamy really kind of boxed out Tressel. And again, we talk about the Trump success in Indiana tonight with Republican voters. This is another sort of Trump success here on the primary side with Republicans.
Yeah, Steve Kornacki, really appreciate that. And that's going to conclude this breaking news report. You can follow live results and more coverage of these races and more on NBCnews.com. I'm Gadi Schwartz.